In the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Egyptian desert, history whispers a chilling tale, a story swallowed by the sands of time. It is the legend of Cambyses' lost army. The year is 524 BC. The Persian Empire, under the iron fist of King Cambyses II, stretches its mighty hand across the known world. Having conquered Egypt, Cambyses sets his sights on a remote, defiant oasis Siwa, home to the revered Oracle of Amun. To crush this pocket of resistance, he dispatches a force of 50,000 men, 50,000 elite soldiers, the pride of the Persian military, marching into the heart of the western desert. Imagine the sight: a river of men flowing through a sea of golden dunes. Their bronze helmets glint under the piercing sun, a constellation of man-made stars against the endless orange canvas. Golden shields, embossed with the symbols of the Achaemenid Empire, reflect the blinding light. An endless forest of iron-tipped spears rises toward the heavens. They're a formidable, breathtaking spectacle of imperial power, an army that had never known defeat. Each soldier, a seasoned veteran from campaigns in Libya, Babylonia, and beyond. They march with the confidence of conquerors, their synchronized footsteps a rhythmic drumbeat of impending doom for their enemies. The desert air, thick with heat and fine dust, rings with the clatter of armor and the low murmur of 10,000 conversations in a dozen different languages. They are an empire on the move, seemingly invincible. But the desert is a deity unto itself, ancient and indifferent to the ambitions of kings and empires. After 7 days of marching from Thebes, the army reaches an oasis, known to us only as the City of Oasis. It is their last known contact with the outside world. From this point on, their journey plunges into mystery. They restock their water and provisions, preparing for the final leg of their trek to Siwa. The mood, though strained by the relentless heat, is still one of resolve. They are the immortals, the king's finest. What could possibly stand in their way? They turn their faces west and march on, stepping out of the pages of history and into the realm of legend. The Greek historian Herodotus, writing decades later, tells us what happened next, based on accounts from the people of Siwa. As the massive army pressed deeper into the desolate landscape, the very character of the desert began to shift. The sun, once a source of life, became a malevolent eye in a brazen sky. The horizon began to shimmer with mirage. Phantom lakes that promised relief, but delivered only more sand and despair. Exhaustion etched itself onto the faces of the soldiers. Their disciplined march faltered. The heavy bronze helmets became ovens, the woolen tunics instruments of torture. Water, more precious than gold, was rationed with increasing severity. The silence of the desert was now broken by the groans of the weary and the strained breathing of men pushed to their absolute limit. Then, the sky turned a sickly yellow. A low, ominous moan began to rise from the south, a sound unlike any they had ever heard. It was the wind, but it carried a terrifying weight. The guides, men who knew the desert's moods, would have looked to the horizon with growing dread. A dark line appeared, a smudge of brown against the pale sky, growing with terrifying speed. It was not a ridge of dunes, but something far more monstrous. A Cambyses, a great sandstorm, was bearing down on them. Herodotus describes a wind from the south, strong and deadly, which whipped up vast columns of sand. This was no ordinary storm. It was a moving mountain, a wall of churning dust and grit that rose thousands of feet into the air, blotting out the sun and turning day into an apocalyptic twilight. Panic, a poison more potent than any enemy's arrow, would have spread like wildfire through the ranks. The discipline that had defined them for 1,000 miles evaporated in an instant. The river of men broke into a chaotic mob. Shouts of command were lost in the deafening roar of the approaching storm. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The world was being unmade before their eyes. The colossal wall of sand, a swirling vortex of unimaginable power, slammed into them. The force would have been breathtaking, knocking men from their feet, burying them in an instant. The air turned to a thick, choking paste of sand. It filled their lungs, their eyes, their mouths. Visibility dropped to zero. A man could not see the comrade standing next to him. The sky, the earth, everything dissolved into a violent, suffocating chaos of brown. For how long did it last? Minutes? Hours? In that swirling abyss of sand and fury, time would have lost all meaning. The 50,000 men of Cambyses' army were not defeated in battle. They were consumed, erased from the face of the earth. When the wind finally subsided and the dust settled, there was nothing. No survivors, no bodies, no shields or spears, just the endless, undulating dunes, reshaped by the storm, as if the army had never been there at all. It was as if a god had simply wiped the slate clean, The desert had swallowed them whole, leaving behind only silence and a terrifying mystery. For centuries, the story of the Lost Army was considered little more than a fable, a cautionary tale spun by Herodotus. Many historians dismissed it, suggesting the army was likely defeated in a conventional battle, and the sandstorm was a convenient fiction to cover up a military embarrassment for Cambyses. But the legend persisted, tantalizing archaeologists and adventurers. Could an army of 50,000 men, with all their equipment, truly vanish without a trace? In recent decades, the search for the Lost Army has intensified. Modern technology, from ground-penetrating radar to satellite imagery, has been deployed in the vast Egyptian Sand Sea. In 2009, 2 Italian archaeologists announced a stunning discovery. They unearthed a collection of Bronze Age artifacts, a silver bracelet, an earring, and hundreds of human bones in the vicinity of Siwa. Could this be it? The final resting place of the 50,000. The evidence is compelling, but not yet conclusive. The desert holds its secrets tightly. The location remains remote, and the sheer scale of the desert makes a comprehensive search almost impossible. And so, the legend endures. The ghosts of the Lost Army still wander the dunes, a silent testament to the hubris of empire and the overwhelming power of nature. We are left to look out upon the quiet, moonlit desert, the same landscape that witnessed their final, desperate moments. The wind still whispers across the sand, but it no longer carries the sounds of a marching army. It carries only a story, a haunting echo of a great host that marched into the horizon and never returned. A mystery buried not in the archives of man, but in the very heart of the earth. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as we did, please like this video and subscribe for more stories lost to history.